Hello, friends. Welcome to the Ancient Health Podcast, where East meets West. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Motley, and we are going to talk about your children and the flu and cold season. We had really good responses to the last podcast that had to do with hidden viral infections, hidden colds, any type of viral infection that could rise to the surface during this time, keeping your immune system very low. So in this podcast, I want to discuss with you herbs, tinctures that could help your children. Why? Because many children do not like to take pills. Pills can be very hard to swallow, and many times parents come into the office and tell me, Doc, they don't like to take any types of pills. They can't. I'm still teaching them how to swallow a pill, or they feel like they're going to choke on it. If you're out there and you're shaking your head yes, you're trying to find ways to take a pill and somehow hide it in applesauce or peanut butter or honey. How can I get my child to take this? And those are all valid ways. So we're going to talk about the herbs that I recommend. And some of it may sound like we give to adults, yes, but we can do it in lower dosages. And what are the ways you can deliver it to your child to hopefully get them to take it without turning their head away or saying ooh or saying gross. And many of you are out there saying, yes, that's what happened to me. It's hard to get my children to actually take anything. And when they're around their young friends and their young friends are sick and coughing and sneezing all over them, they don't think at all to cover their mouth or to move away from them unless you taught them that. One of the things I think that's very, very cool is that I have some patients, little kids that come in and they'll make sure that they cover their mouth, or they'll take a napkin or a Kleenex and put it over their mouth, which I think is really, really funny and really interesting. But, with this happening in schools or daycare, they're going to get infections that come into their body, and we have to prepare the body to actually fight against it. And I want to show you how we can do this, because I have many times, literally, patients who tell me, Doc, my kid didn't get sick this year. In the past, they got sick 3 times a year, but everybody in their class was sick except him or her, which is really cool because we take the herbs that actually help build the immune system. And at times, the child will actually want the herbs after a while. So first, what we want to talk to you about is, let's talk about the herbals. Now, in my last podcast, I did have a reel that talked about my friend, Dr. Alan Lindsley. He hasn't produced it. He was starting to make a tincture that was going to help with cleaning up viral infections like the flu. It doesn't mean it treats it. It just helps with the symptomatology. But it has to do with elderberry and olive leaf and astragalus. And those are beautiful ingredients. If you guys write down anything, write those things down. Olive leaf, astragalus, elderberry. Those will help clean up infections and viruses tremendously. I myself will tell a patient, if they call me and say, Doc, I am fighting off a cold, I'm fighting off an infection, what do you suggest? Now I'll add one more. I'll say, okay, do you have olive leaf at home or astragalus? Do you have any elderberry? Do you have Ilicium, which is star anise, anise star, A-N-I-S-E, which makes Tamiflu? And if they say they have any one of these, not all of them, I'll say, okay, you're going to take 1 capsule 3 times a day, maybe even 4, to fight the infection. Because some of these herbs, everybody, they either kill off the virus, as in they have plant constituents that can actually dissolve some of the protein coating of the virus. Also, they have components that actually help raise the immune function of your cells. And they have also the ability to actually clean your cells. All of this in these herbs, which is amazing. So the ones that I would suggest that you look into for your children are liquid tinctures and any type of vitamin or mineral. And some of the main companies I use will put into the show notes is Hawaii Farm. Hawaii, like the state, Farm, P-H-A-R-M. Hawaii Farm. They have tinctures that are organic. They have alcohol and non-alcoholic. And they have some that are made in glycerin and some that are non-glycerin. It's a very good company. I personally love probably my favorite company of all, because I love the guys. I love Dr. Leibowitz, Michael Leibowitz, Dr. Noah Leibowitz. You guys follow them on Instagram, but they do Supreme Nutrition products. I literally have all their stuff right here on my desk. If you can see my desk, it's just filled with them because I just take the supplements during the day. So with this Hawaii Farm, I say you need to have in your cupboard during this season Astragalus, olive leaf, elderberry, Ilicium. Those are my main. Okay, so those four: Astragalus, olive leaf, basically elderberry, and Ilicium. Elderberry and Ilicium are very good at helping clean up and raising the immune system and also killing off viral infections. Now, I can't say it treats it. I can say it's been shown that the plant constituents have been shown to have components that actually fight off and kill off viruses. Now, olive leaf has components that keep it from replicating, from its DNA to continuously replicate in your cell. So they can actually get into the cell and keep certain types of protein formations from occurring where the virus keeps replicating. The astragalus is, in Chinese medicine, one of the master herbs where they say it actually helps raise and boost your immune system. Your TH cells, your lymphocytes, any type of cell that's a white blood cell that's an immune-based cell has been shown to raise their function, to allow them to actually identify the infection, the virus, attach to them, tag them, allow them, the killer cells, to come off and kill them off. So you have a lot of ability of the astragalus to build the immune, olive leaf to keep the replication from occurring, elderberry and Ilicium to go in and do its job on the virus. Can you use a combination with the child? You can, but I want you to know your child. Is your child sensitive? Can your child take supplements? Can your child take a lot, or are they very histamine prone? Do they get red in the face very easily? Do they get sick as easily? Do they stay in bed when they're sick? If this is your child, then I would not try everything at once. My first go-to for the child would be elderberry. Elderberry is probably my first go-to whenever I have a child that's sick because it tastes good. Children love it. They look forward to it. Elderberry Supreme by Supreme Nutrition Products is a fantastic product. Normally, I tell a parent that I want them to do 1 dropper full 4 times a day because the child will take it and eat it up. Now, if that is knocking things out, I would actually add in Ilicium or star anise. Ilicium is another name for star anise, and that's why I go to Hawaii Farm, because Supreme Nutrition doesn't have the star anise. But if you get star anise or anise star, and you could put that into a juice of some sort. Some people put it into a small thing of like Manuka honey for the child, because anise star tastes like licorice. So it's not horrible, but if your kid doesn't like licorice, they may have to add it to something else. So what would I do with Ilicium? I would literally do like a dropper full 3 times a day. You're not going to hurt a young one, especially those that are usually 4 to 5 and above, with 3 to 4 good dropperfuls a day. When they're younger, like, 1 year old, even younger, I've seen people, young ones that are as low as 4 or 5 months old up to 5 years old, and I've seen them do drops. So you can do some dropperfuls for like 5 and 6 year old up, and those that are younger, I usually do drops. I usually do about 4 to 5 drops 3 times a day, not dropperfuls, drops. So you can do 4 to 5 little drops, because that plant power will go into that child and start to help raise and boost the immune system. Remember, we're not saying we treat any type of flu or treat viruses. We're saying that we have the constituents that have been shown that it could help dissolve some of the viral coating and help keep the replication from occurring. So that's the beauty of plants, the beauty of herbs. Now, if you do a few drops a day, if you notice that your child doing either dropperfuls or drops, if they're over-responding, if they're getting too toxic, if their sleep is super distressed, if they start to feel like they can't sleep because of the die-off, or they're actually having a worsening of their symptoms, like more coughing or more cold or congestion, if they have diarrhea, if their digestive system gets off, if their sleep is super disturbed, then I tell the patient, the parents, hold off. Take the dosage you were doing, hold off for almost a day, let the body rest, and do half the dosage. Do half a dropper full, or do 1 or 2 drops. And then you reduce the dosage in half, because the body's probably so overwhelmed with a viral or infection that it's over-responding. So If you notice that your child goes through a heavy allergic reaction, then don't start the herbs back up. I'm talking about heavy coughing, any type of heavy histamine, redness, rashes, any type of problem with like high allergy response. Do not give them any more herbs. Remember, you need to ask your primary care doctor for your children and for yourself if you have any questions about these herbs. So the patient or the parent would ask me, well, doc, how many do I give them? I say, I always start off with elderberry. And if it's doing pretty good work, then I add into the star anise. Once the patient starts to, maybe after 4 to 5 days, starts to clean up the virus, I then add in olive leaf and astragalus. Normally for a very little one, I'll add in 2 to 3 drops of olive leaf and 2 drops, maybe 3 drops of astragalus 2 to 3 times a day. That's what I've seen in my office do really well, even for little ones. And so you're getting that power of the plant to help clean up the virus, but also keep it from replicating. And then what I do is I'll put, usually most patients will put that in their child's juice. I've seen some put it into their milk bottle. I've seen that some do it in a little bit of honey and they just take it. Some do it really into applesauce. Those are some of the ways we put them together. I think that if you put them into those mediums, it could work really well. But if it's concentrated, that's good. Sometimes when you put it into a big smoothie, some parents will put it into this huge smoothie. And honestly, I think the power is still there, the energy of the herb. But your body is then taking all these other ingredients. Like if you had a smoothie with berries and peanut butter and all these other things, your body's trying to digest all those. It can't concentrate on that one herb. So if you are going to put it into peanut butter or an applesauce or a non-dairy yogurt, I put a little bit in there and just load it up in there and have them swallow it down. And I try to do it as small of an amount as I can. Some individuals love to take it and put it into their favorite juice, a non-sugary juice, but truly, I'm not for sugary drinks. But if you notice that your child only wants to do something with apple juice or orange juice, I would say for all you parents out there, you know what I'm saying is that you're like tired, you want your child to get better. You put that in that juice, you have them drink it down. You do that a few times a day. Make sure you don't do too sugary at the end of the night, okay, so they stay up. But if you can get low sugar juices, in my opinion, and you can do that, you can usually get them to take it and they can move forward. So when you do any type of combinations, you just want to make sure, watch this, that with your child can die off and kill off infections fast. So you got to watch out for redness. If there's any redness at the tip of the nose, the edges of the ear, the earlobes, the lips, or the knuckles of the hands or the feet, they may be detoxifying too quickly. If there's any rashes on the gut or around their throat, if they're getting any heavier redness, then they could be detoxing heavily. That's when you back off. So if I was giving my child some olive leaf or say elderberry 3 dropperfuls a day, like here you go, then I would say, okay, we're going to go down to half a dropperful 3 times a day, which is about 8 to 10 drops. So I hope you guys are following along with this. Usually above 6 years old is usually when I'll do like a dropperful 2 to 3 times a day. Their body will absorb it. They'll love it from what I've seen. And if they're younger, then I do like 4 or 5 drops a few times a day, maybe 3 times a day. And that's for the elderberry and the star anise. So guys, write that down. And then after about 5 to 6 days, maybe about a week, you're going to add in maybe 2 to 3 drops of the astragalus and olive leaf each. Now, this combination will come in and it will clean up a lot of viral infections. It'll help clean the skin because viruses love to get into the skin. So you may see people's warts and moles start to dry up because they are very heavily loaded with viral infections in those areas of the skin. Don't be alarmed. Don't be surprised too if your skin tags start to dry up, if your moles start to dry up. Don't be surprised. Now, with this, you try to find the medium your child can use. That's most important. I can't tell you the one that works the best. All I can tell you is you need to find the one that works really well with your child, and you use that one and you never give up on it. You just keep using it. Every day you can use this to help with putting that immune system booster in there. And what you'll notice that then is after about 4 days, 3 to 4 days, hopefully their congestion starts to go away, because if they're already sick, you have to let this infection run its course. And with this though, you'll cut it down shorter, definitely. But after 4 or 5 days, you'll start noticing that the symptoms start to go away. But don't let the child necessarily go out and play a whole full day of, running outside, jumping on the trampoline and doing a whole bunch of activity. Cause I've seen where kids, now they start feeling better after 4 or 5 days. And then they want to go outside and run with their families or with their, other kids. The problem is that the lymph nodes you basically shake the lymph nodes, and the lymph nodes start to basically loosen up. And when you're on the trampoline or out there and you're running around, the kids' lymph nodes start to drain more, which means as it drains more and it starts to purify the body more viral infections basically could start to basically infiltrate the system. The reason being is because movement and heavier movement at a high rate can cause the lymph to pump faster, which means there's more energy expenditure within the child. This is for adults too. More energy expenditure in the child means you're going to do what? You're going to cause the child to have to choose where he's going to put his energy. So if it's in the lymph nodes and it's pushing it in the lymph node and he's draining a whole bunch, it can help the child. But what happens is it can drain the energy if it's too quickly. So if it's too much activity outside, then other viruses, which may not even be viral, may be flu related, not be flu related, could be in the cell, such as Epstein-Barr virus or cytomegalovirus, which could be dormant. It's good to get those out, but what will happen is they're opportunistic. If your immune system gets low and there's not enough immune system or antibodies running around, those viruses go, I got enough opening in the bloodstream and in the tissue to go to another cell to infect it. They want a fresh meal. I hate to say it that way. So you could have a child that goes out and runs outside and gets cold, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, he's got sick again. In my opinion, yes, you want you want to have fresh air. Definitely have enough fresh air. You want a child, like even if it's in the house, if you can lightly crack the window, don't let the cold wind get right into their face. But even with the heater on, you may want to let the cool, fresh air recirculate. Get those viral proteins out of the air and let them basically just breathe clean air. But fast physical activity, I would really, really put at bay for at least 2 weeks after they start a very heavy sickness period, even 3 weeks. When you start taking these herbals, you'll start to notice after a week they're going to feel really good, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go play. Don't do that. They can play for a little bit, but whatever they normally play, do it by 50%. That's my rule. If they're used to going playing like on a trampoline for like 20 minutes, say, no, you only have 5 minutes or 10 minutes on there, and that's it. Because as a parent, I'm looking out for you. You don't want to have a child that's feeling brilliant. Oh yeah, he's feeling great. And all of a sudden he just literally just starts getting sick again. And that puts a lot of stress on you. We have to watch out for the caregiver. So remember, if you're giving them these things, yes, you have to restrain them a bit with their activity. But I would honestly say 3 to 4 weeks of low intensity activity. Now, many parents out there, and I know who you are in my clinic, they have kids that are in every single sports activity. And the kid's like, no, I don't want to let my team down. Even at young ages, kids are like, I don't want to let my teammates down. I want to be out there. I want to play. And they're thinking, Doc, when can I get back out there? Have I seen kids get out there within 3 days or 4 days? Yeah, because, I got personal work done for me on them and got a lot of the acupuncture system moving. But if you don't have that option, it's better to let them rest for 2 to 3 weeks at least and let their body rest and then get them back into the sports. Once you start this regimen, you don't have to do this regimen I just mentioned every single day, but I would suggest, what's the duration? I would do these herbals for at least until all the symptomatology is gone. But once you do these throughout the cold and flu season, the next year they're going to be super strong. Even throughout the spring season, they're not going to have as many allergies because you're going to clean up all those infections in their lungs, their sinuses, their head, their ears, and they're not going to be hyperreactive to histamine. So I suggest patients, don't let them over-detoxify. Remember those signs of the redness that I talked about. But if you did a slow, steady dosage of these things for 1 month and you see how they are, you could actually extend it maybe to 2 months, even cutting their original dosage down by half the second month. And so you have a full, first dosage the first month. The second month, you cut their dosages in half and do a half dosage for that second and third month. So that usually takes you to, if you start in October, November, it takes you into December. Some parents will go through January, February just to keep their kids' immune system up. So you can do it for a few months. It should not really cause any distress. If you think they're over detoxifying, because you don't want to do too many herbs for too long, but it will keep the child's immune system very, very strong. You can even test it. You could do for 3 months doing that regimen and then take another few weeks off and see if their immune system starts to get stronger or even gets a little bit weaker. But do not put yourself into they call it, my dad says, a tizzy. Don't let yourself get too worked up, and don't put yourself down like, oh, I should have kept giving them that. No, don't do that. You have to test out and see what helps with your child. So you say, will I stop towards the spring? You can, because you're going to notice that they're going to have a lot less allergies. And then you can just let their body's natural immune system handle all the pollen, all the dust, and all things coming up in the spring season. Now, that's another discussion. So when the spring season comes up, then we can talk about what we can do to help with those allergies. Now, but I will say this. If you do Astragalus and do olive leaf, you're going to see a big improvement in allergies. Another one that I would suggest, like right when you get done with February, this is a side note, end of February, is that most patients on those 4, if they have a like dose, I will start to remove pretty much the Ilicium out of the way, and I'll start taking out the olive leaf. And usually I'll say, okay, keep them on a little Astragalus, a little elderberry for their immune system, but then I'll add in Scutellaria, which is Chinese skullcap. So I'll have them on a small amount of Astragalus and elderberry, and I'll add some Scutellaria tincture, which is Chinese skullcap, doing like 3 to 4 drops, twice a day throughout the spring season. And that Scutellaria skullcap will help with any mold or fungus or any type of fungal infection in the air, especially spring season and pollens. If you look at Scutellaria, Scutellaria, Scutellaria tincture by Supreme Nutrition, it is amazing. Even for adults for fungus and mold and yeast, but children when they're in that springtime season. And I cannot tell you how many parents come to me and say, Doc, that stuff helped my child. They hardly have any sniffles. They didn't have to go to the doctor for more antihistamines. They didn't have to go and get more antibiotics. They literally are cleaning up. So does this have to be on repeat every single year? That's the next question. The parents will be like, does this have to be on repeat every single year? Now, no. Not at all. I think as a parent, you have to have that power in your hands where you go, okay, what is this something that I need to do every single year? But it is maintenance. I would personally, with my kids, do it. Why? Because it's so much easier on you if all you have to do is maintain basically what they're having to eat, their soccer games, their volleyball games. That's fine. But adding on a sick child on top of it is very tough. So why not cut it off at the pass? So when this occurs, I try to get children used to it. I always try to find out when they come in, what a kid's favorite medium is. Do they like a little bit of honey? Do they like like a really good organic maple syrup? Do they like a peanut butter or applesauce? I find those things out. I start asking the parents, like, can they take this? Like, maybe let's start adding drops within these and see if they'll take it. And if it's comfortable, they can do it 2 times a day. Sometimes the third dosage, when a kid is sick and they're in bed or something, yes, you can give it 3 times a day, an herb. But if they're out and they're active and they're semi-healthy or they're healthy, give it to them morning and night, when you can. Make it a ritual. I have my family, or my little nephew, it is so cute. He will take a little, a lot of these mineral brands and health brands with like minerals and electrolytes will send these little shot glasses. And my little nephew will take his little tinctures and put them in there and put a little bit of juice in there and swirl it around, and he'll take it like a little shot. It's amazing. I never taught him that. That's crazy. But he loves it, and it keeps his body clean. Even if he's eating sugars and stuff, he'll have good bowel movements, and it keeps his sleep going well. So if you guys are out there, remember, don't be frustrated. Find the medium that you could put put the herbs in, and don't think that you have to follow this, verbatim. You could look at other herbs. I love Malia. Malia is neem, Neem. That's a great one too. Neem tincture. Some people say it just treats plants. Not at all. The body can use it. I treat patients with it all day. So we'll have that in the show notes, the tips for the flu. But we know that some kids cannot take pills. In fact, when I was a kid, my dad used to tell me, he says, hey, just think of them as M&Ms. think of them as just big M&Ms, and those M&Ms are just delicious. I was like, no, Dad, these taste horrible. They taste bad. Remember those big horse pills they used to make, and I'm not putting down any company, but the ones like my dad would get from Walgreens or something, and it would be like these huge tablets. They used to, some of them, they use a lot of adjuvants, a lot of glue, a lot of, like glue type products, a lot of stearates, a lot of things that make the pill not as healthy as it needs to be, but it keeps it stuck together so it goes down easier. But the edges would be like super rough, and just like they would feel like they were cutting your throat. And, you want to take this horse pill and give it to a kid, and this kid's throat is just like, so small. And you think, oh, you can take 2 or 3 of these. And the kid's like, no, there's no way, I'm going to gag it all up. So, now they have pill crushers. So you can actually crush pills and probably put it into a peanut butter or something, which is better. Like, do that. You can use a pill crusher. You can use liquid tinctures. Some of my patients take and open up the capsules. They get the capsule form from Supreme Nutrition Products, open it up and put it into that. But some kids cannot stand the taste because it can be very strong. That's why they use tinctures, a little bit less, aggressive. So you have to find if a powder form or a crushed tablet works, because I know it's tough. You just got to find what can work. Now, this is the other thing. What about vitamins and minerals? So you're trying to find the medium. If you can get them to where they can swallow a pill, great. If they can't, then stick with what we're talking about right now. Because I used to hate taking pills, honestly. One of the things, though, I would suggest is definitely vitamin C and vitamin D. Every single season, in my opinion, I would suggest that children normally have a vitamin C, a higher amount of vitamin C, a higher amount of vitamin D, and vitamin K. And I also would suggest that they do a type of multivitamin if possible. Now, there are a few good products out there. There's Touchstones Essentials. Write that down. Touchstones Essentials. Touchstone Essentials has good vitamins and minerals. I really like an English brand, or from the UK. It's called Metabolics. Metabolics is a really good brand. I'm telling you, it's super clean. I really like their products, and they have single ingredient herbs and vitamins and minerals. So to me, I always say have your child do high amounts of vitamin C. Even for a child, in my opinion, if you did 5,000 to 6,000 units a day or milligrams a day with liquid vitamin C from Metabolics, you don't have to use them, but they're really clean and they're really light and very easy on the stomach. I always say 6,000 is the rule. 6,000 milligrams of vitamin C, 6,000 international units of vitamin D with K2. You can get the mixture with K2. So you can get that bottle mixed together. And I love multiple minerals, or complete multiple mineral. Metabolics has that. You can find other like Touchstone Essentials. Just find a good liquid brand. But this is the one I found that worked well. And I know it comes from overseas. It can take a little time. But during the flu season, go ahead and get a couple of bottles of each and get it like a complete mineral formula that has magnesium and zinc and selenium. Those right there are great. If you get that multiple mineral for your child, you can give them like 1 to 2 big dropperfuls a day. For those 5 or 6 and above. Usually, like if I'm talking about like a child that's under 5, instead of 2 big dropperfuls of the complete multi-minerals, I usually say give them 5 drops morning, 5 drops night. Won't hurt them, in my opinion, what I've seen. But remember, ask your primary care doctor. Vitamin D and K2 usually go down to like 3,000 units a day, and 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C. I've seen doctors give children that are 1 year old higher doses, because it doesn't really necessarily hurt the body for the child, but I'm always careful when I make suggestions or just recommend things. But remember, 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C, 3,000 units of vitamin D for kids, 5 and below. But once you do this and you get their body to absorb the vitamin D and absorb the vitamin K, and their immune system starts to kick on and they're taking the herbs, you're going to tell that your kid is not, sick as the other kids. They're going to go to school and they're going to be around a lot of sick kids, and they're going to come back and you're going to be like, wow, this was amazing. Truly. Try it out. Check it out. Check with your pediatrician. I'm not trying to say anything that would, go above what they're saying. I respect all types of medicine. But I want this to be like an encouragement to you. When you go through the cold and flu season and you think your kid's always getting sick, the little one always keeps getting sick every single season over and over again. If that's happening to you, I want you to make sure that you don't get frustrated. You don't want to be frustrated. I want you to be able to say, oh, the cold season coming up. We're just going to stock up. We're going to do the minerals and vitamin D and the vitamin C. You can throw in a good multivitamin in there to add in. You could do multivitamin. They'll show you like you can do 10 good drops of a multivitamin a day for a young one. Just look at the milligrams and then look at the suggested dosage for young ones. And usually 10 drops is good for a multivitamin. If you're really careful and cautious, go down to 5. Look at metabolics.com. It's out of England, it's out of the UK. And just even if you research like good liquid vitamins, but what I have found is they have good ionic minerals and ionic vitamins that really are very highly absorbable. Okay. That's what I would suggest for you. And I think that if you listen to this and this resonates with you, remember that you can help your child's immune system really get healthy and strong. You can do this. Don't be discouraged. Check out these things, and I think that any additional things that would help with your children would be, I'm not saying don't let them be inactive, but other things that would actually encourage the flow of the lymph. You can actually look into small red light boxes to help the lymph flow without them doing too high of an activity, making their immune system get tired too quickly. People use loom boxes. They'll use Fringe, Fringe. They'll use BioLite.shop. BioLite.shop is a good one. So guys, write those down. Fringe or BioLite.shop, and they have little red boxes that you can have your child sit in front of. Don't let them look at it directly in their eyes, but put it on their chest or their back and let them sit in front of it for 5 to 10 minutes twice a day, maybe 20 minutes, depending on how well they build up. So like when they first start out, like let's let you look at, play some games. We're going to let this be shining on your back, or even when you're laying over, when they're sleeping, put a little red light on their back for 5 to 10 minutes. You'll be surprised how well red light will help clean out their body and detoxify them. Red light therapy is great. Sometimes I'll tell parents that when the red light comes into play, it's hard to do like an ionic foot bath or anything of that sort. But even with the little one, I'd say if you could put a little Epsom salt, if you could put some magnesium salts in a bath, I would do that. And a little bit of lavender to help soothe the body, but actually using those types of minerals in their bath to help pull out some of the toxins while they're sick. Those are really great to do too. These are my suggestions for little ones. Teaching your kids, I'm not saying you can do this, but I've seen people use the Navage. I've seen people use like a sinus cleansers. Those are really good for young ones. And if you can teach your kids to get those sinus cleansers where they actually push the water up through the nose and push out the mucus, if you can train your child young to do that, it's amazing. Some individuals love using like golden thread, which is Coptis, to put into the water to actually rinse out the sinuses. But if you can do steady sinus rinses for a child who has really stuffed up sinuses and train them to get used to it, they can flush out so much. And when they take this, it'll dry all that junk up and you'll see sinus stuff start to leave, even ear infections. So like a sinus drainer, a sinus cleanser, sinus wash. Look at sinus wash. Look at herbs that you can put in the sinus wash. It is amazing what you can do to help the sinuses heal. Guys, this has been a lot, but I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, during the flu season, it's really easy to eat a lot of sugars, but truly high sugar, refined sugar diets with high starches such as potato starches, corn starches, soy starches, any of these cookies and pastries, candy bars, you can't keep your kid from eating them all the time. I know it. It's hard. You struggle. I can tell the parents out there are going to be like, I try my best, but I can't do it. They're at school. I can't watch them every single part of the day. Try these things, and you'll see even if they're on high sugar diets, they can actually clean up and heal up. However, if you can keep them from eating lots of sugars and lots of cow dairy, this will keep their system and their immune system nice and functioning properly without too much inflammation. That's what I've seen. Starches, refined sugars, and too much cow dairy. So you can even say grains. Can grains do it? Yes, it can raise their glycemic index. Anything that can raise their glycemic index too high can be detrimental to their immune system during the cold and flu season. So let's put a limit on that. Plenty of water. Kids do not drink enough water. You can't get your kid to drink water. You got to figure out ways to put some flavoring in there or something in there, but they're going to have to drink some water. If they're not drinking more than 4 cups of water a day, then they are dehydrated. They have to drink at least 4 or 5 cups of water. do your best. I know it's hard, but you're going to have to try to trick your kids in some ways to actually help them drink more water. They need it for their kidneys to function, for their chi to rise and their kidneys to fight off the infection. Guys, I hope this is it. But if you guys like this information, please like and subscribe. Send it to somebody who's been having problems with their children getting sick over and over again, or if you yourself have. Please send us some comments. Let us know if this is the kind of information you like. And if it is, send us comments and email us, because this is like from our emails. My producer, Christy, said, hey, Mots, you need to do a podcast on this because many people are asking. But if you like it, please let us know. Hit that little bell so every time a new episode comes out, you're reminded. Now, on this episode, these solo podcasts, I usually take these and I go over in detail more in my membership. Now, the membership is there to help with extra information, but if you guys are interested, we have a link on my bio for the membership, and the membership allows me to have Q&As, like live Q&As. I just jump on there and we're face-to-face. We talk every week on a Wednesday night, and I go over these things that we talk about in the podcast in more detail. So if you have questions about your kids, I want to be able to answer them and help you out. So look into the membership if you're interested. It's on the link in my bio, and also it'll be on my newly designed website by my good friend Mike. He's done an amazing job. So guys, I hope you're doing well. Be blessed. I hope to see you next time. And until, let's keep sending the positive energies out there that this cold and flu season passes by, because I know so many people had pneumonia. Use these products. I'm telling you, you will see so much reduction in these types of symptoms. I mean it with all my heart. Guys, love y'all. Until next time, have a good night. See ya.